Hi, I'm Corey.
Hi, I'm Tess.
Welcome to A Lovely Place.
We're so glad you've joined us as we invite Jesus into the midst of our lives, learning, and laughter.
We hope this podcast can encourage your heart and make you smile today. Hi, Tess.
Hello, Corey. It feels like a weird day today for recording. I think we both feel off, but that kind of goes along with what we're talking about today, which I find not ironic, but like serendipitous. Is that the right word?
I don't know. But yes, I feel that because yesterday we were going to record and then we ended up not. And then my mom was praying for us yesterday and then I didn't tell her we weren't recording till later. And then she's like, well, you and Tess got lots of prayers yesterday. And I said, well, I think we needed them. So I am thankful for my mom praying for us and being real in this thing. And then I think a lot of people are also feeling the end of the year, all the things that are like wrapping up, tying up, put a little bow on top, and then happy summer. Right. So I just feel like it's like, okay, Lord, please help me.
Yeah.
I figure out what's going on.
I have this picture in my mind that the end of the school year right now feels like someone just kind of slowing down their car and then pushing you out as like, bye-bye, you know.
Wow.
And there we go.
Oh, man. And then thanks to everybody listening for grace of us not releasing a podcast last week. Yeah. And we're trying to figure out our summer schedule and how we can do this. And so we are learning as we go. As somebody said the other day, we're building the airplane as we fly. So it's like, does that sound smart? I'm not sure.
You know, it's been a weird couple of weeks. And so the chapter that we're talking about today is called Accepting the Idea of Acceptance. Mm-hmm. And it really is just about like accepting for what it is, like the reality that you are in right now. And I feel like that's so appropriate. As we accept our life situations and things that come that we didn't plan on, you know, and just roll with it and be okay to be imperfect. So yeah, it's good.
It is good. And even the first sentence of the book, this chapter, what is truly behind emotional eating? It's our unwillingness to accept or sit with our emotions. And so I drew a little chair next to it because then as we've been mulling over this chapter and reading it and writing notes and processing, it's just like, I was like, do I actually feel emotions then? Or am I just like feeling them a little bit? And then stuffing them, you know, like I feel like I've gained some awareness of what's going on, but there's definitely other moments when I'm just like, I found myself in the kitchen late at night going, I don't even care what I'm feeling right now. I'm eating whatever I was finding, you know, like I was like, so I was trying to own up to those moments also of the, sit with it. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Who likes to sit?
Right. She says that. She says, even my most gracious clients shudder when I say the word accept in the context of emotions and eating. Who wants to accept difficult feelings or pain or accept a weight that feels unacceptable? I'm like, ugh. Yep. Who wants to? Yeah. But I don't know, it's so good. Yeah. At the same time.
And then the quote that's at the beginning of the chapter, and folks, we're just on page 1 of chapter 2. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. And Carl Rogers said that. And apparently the first time I read this, I looked him up and he's a psychologist and he has a whole bunch of different things that he's done. But I just thought how how amazing that is of change, that if we can't get to a space of acceptance, or even I was thinking forgiveness, like thinking about my life walk with Jesus, like if
Yeah.
I don't ask for forgiveness and live in that forgiveness, it's kind of like acceptance. I don't know, maybe there's probably different definitions, but it just feels like the same process. Like, oh, am I letting you in here? Am I letting myself like go, oh, I don't do this well. Let's learn. Like,
Yeah.
Lord Jesus, help me.
Yeah. Which that reminds me of the verse that I was thinking of
Mm-hmm.
reading today, so I'll just read it right now.
Yeah, we need some of
It's
Jesus here.
Psalm 102, 1 through 2, and it says, "Hear my prayer, Lord. Let my cry for help come to you. Do not hide your face from me when I am in distress. Turn your ear to me when I call. Answer me quickly." And I don't know why, but this last last week and a half or whatever, that phrase, "Do not hide your face from me when I am in distress," that has
Mm-hmm.
been so, like, such a powerful picture in my mind. And as I was reading more of this chapter about acceptance, it just made me think, like, we don't want God to turn his face away from our distress, or away from us when we're in distress.
Right.
But so often we turn our face away from ourselves, if that makes sense, when we're in
Mm-hmm.
distress. We turn our face away and we look somewhere else and we avoid and we run away.
Yeah.
And that's when we get to this place of, emotional something, stuffing something,
Right.
instead of feeling our emotions, whether it's eating or some other addictive behavior,
Yeah.
is when we turn our face away from the distress we're feeling instead of looking at it and accepting it and, and sitting with it.
Yeah.
But it's uncomfortable.
Very much so.
Yes. Oh, goodness. So uncomfortable.
I'm 41 and I feel very uncomfortable. Like sometimes I want to go, why haven't you got this? And then it's like,
Yeah.
well, you didn't learn yet. So you're learning now. And then I was just praying, Lord, please help me to teach my son better ways to process emotions, better ways to be aware of emotions. And then I keep, like, on the flip side of this, I feel like there's a joy from eating and a community around the table. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like it's like those are the things I'm wanting: community, good food that tastes good, something that gives me nourishment so I can do all the things I need to do. But then I
Yeah.
get confused and the messages are like, oh, you can go and eat when you don't want to feel things and you're not in community and you're not whatever the other thing I said was. It just was like, oh, there's like something's like counterfeit here. Like it's not
Yeah.
actually giving me what I'm looking for and how my body feels and how it moves. And like, I remember when I did that Whole30 month, and it was really hard. And I don't know that this book is endorsing something that you can't maintain
Right.
forever.
Right.
But I still think I learned a lot in that Whole30 thing of just having some boundaries around myself. Like, here, eat these foods from this list.
Yeah.
So you're protecting yourself of your choices that you're eating. I'm sure there was still some emotional eating of one more of those blueberry bars from Luna or whatever. But I remember in that time I didn't have any shame or guilt from eating.
Yeah.
And I never had recognized that before, that was attached.
Yeah. Well, and maybe in that process, you kind of, with knowing you had like a list of things to pick from, even though she doesn't encourage restrictive diets, like, but you almost, it sounds like you cut the emotions out of your shopping experience too, and said, like, I'm
Oh,
going to
they
buy
were
these
there.
things. But,
But
like
yes, they didn't
you,
rule me.
Right. You
Right.
bought
Yes.
food in a way that was like, I know, like, rationally that I want to buy foods that are healthy for
Yes.
me and that are good for my body. And so that kind of, maybe hijacked the emotional eating process a little bit. Because I know for
Right.
me, it's like when I emotionally eat, I'm not emotionally eating vegetables. Like, it's
Yeah.
always like sugar or, like,
Right.
yeah. And why is that? I don't know. It's always something that's like processed when, at least for me, when I emotionally
Yeah.
eat.
Well,
It's
isn't
not
that
like
like the
carrots.
sugar drug that gives you that
Yeah.
hit or whatever? And broccoli doesn't have so much sugar in it, so
it's easier to just eat it normally. Yeah.
or something. I don't know. But then, like, or was it already
Yeah.
the last chapter that was talking about mindfully eating?
That's the third chapter, which is really good too.
Okay, so must have. Yeah, but it was just like, have you even taken a bite and did you understand what you ate? Like,
Right.
did you chew your food? Were you participating in this event? Because I feel like emotional eating is fast and quick and
Impulsive.
yes. And then there was a sentence in here somewhere that was talking about something. I think it's on the next page. Well, now, just that pain equals pain, but pain plus non-acceptance equals suffering. So it's like I'm experiencing pain and then I'm not accepting and I'm emotionally eating, then that equals more suffering because then my tummy doesn't feel good. I don't feel good about my choices I made. My pants don't fit. And I just feel uncomfortable all over again.
Right.
So it's like this crazy, weird cycle. So it's
and
interesting.
if you don't accept it, eventually it will come back up again. And I think that's what we forget sometimes. It's like, but if we can just accept that pain in the moment, it's much easier to just go through it instead of, getting slapped in the face with it later again,
Yeah. Whack. Oh, yeah.
I also loved on the next page, she says, if we are willing to participate only in situations that feel good, what is our life about? That really, I don't know, that really hit me. Because I'm really good at telling my kids, like, this is a learning experience, or whatever. And then it's like sometimes I think I shy away from the hard stuff because it's hard and it's painful.
Yes.
And I need to take my own advice.
Yeah. Well, and then I just feel challenged again, like in this busyness of things. It's like, am I setting myself up for success? Like I feel like my expectations of myself are totally wacky versus what's actually capable and what's actually like even like today before I don't know that I looked at the clock a few times, but I was like not paying attention. I was just trying to get some vacuuming done and get the kitchen done. I'm like, oh wait, I gotta feed Riker because he's home. And then so it just was like, what is my deal? Like so then I'm going back to that Sunday planning way back when of what's on your plate and like, let's take some stuff off your plate and accept that that's a good thing. Like, I feel like it's like, if there's no space to feel emotions, how are you going to feel them if you're too busy and you're always under the next thing? Like, I feel like, what am I doing? But then I want to have fun and I want life to be about experiences and different things and not just about food, right? So it's like this weird tension and that gets me all spun out too. Like, how do I do this? Like, what am I supposed to learn first? Like,
Well, and that just also makes me think of the last book that we read, Rhythms of Renewal, you know, and even The Lazy Genius Way, like living in your season, like knowing what you need in this season, what's important.
Yeah.
And then making room for the input rhythms. Because I notice when I'm not doing those input rhythms and I'm so busy, then it's really easy to just have food be the cushion for me,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
today I don't have time to sit and like actually think on things because I haven't made the time a priority. And so it's a lot easier just to stop by the pantry every time I walk past it while I'm doing all the things and grab a piece of chocolate, But is that serving me? Probably not,
Yeah.
but I think it's often easier to see after the fact too,
Right.
like to go, oh, I've made it all the way to the end of the day and I realize I didn't take any time for myself to be quiet and I ate a lot of food,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So then
goodness.
I think there's wisdom of I mean, I don't know, we're body, mind, and soul, right? Like we're all the parts. So I feel like there's a lot of skills to be learning and gain from this, like this little book here from Miss Jennifer. Just like, oh, okay. And so I just want to have patience with myself, which I guess is that willingness versus willfulness that she was talking about.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to wrap my head around that. And I think she even was putting Yoda in there too, right? I don't think she said it was Yoda, but
right.
there's no trying. There's do or not do. Or however Yoda says it. But I just was like, we've been watching, or Stefan and Riker mostly, the Star Wars movies. And so Yoda is in our house. And so I'm like, oh, am I saying I'm trying this? And then what am I meaning? Like I don't know.
Right? Yeah. What does that actually mean? I loved the line where she says, so willingness is akin to wonder and has a proactive quality. Willfulness, the intent to have our own way, resembles intolerance and passivity. And then later on, she says, willingness is saying yes to the mystery of being alive in each moment. And I don't know. I loved that. And it reminded me of, there was a Don't Mom Alone episode. Oh, it was the one on mom burnout where she was talking about finding joy like in the little moments and that you have to like train your brain to find joy. Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of that. Like willingness has a proactive quality, but willfulness resembles intolerance and passivity and is more like about control instead of acceptance. And man, I know when I get on that like control train, it just doesn't end well,
Well, then that's like the control train of the whole 30 list. Like these are what you eat. That's it. Like, and it's like, okay, that works for a little while. But then I was feeling boxed in and like, how can I do this forever? Or am I in timeout? Or
right.
I don't know that that's the point of that plan. I'm not knocking Whole 30. I think it's great, but it just is interesting, like what it does to our brain of what.
So. Right, like the deprivation. Makes you really want the thing,
But then it's like, isn't that good too? That like.
I don't
You're not eating the wrong thing. So somewhere there's a tension. There is a tension everywhere in my life right now. It feels like with this content, but just like trying to not. Here I am trying again. Dear Jesus, please help me.
Yeah. Ooh, I like this line too. Willfulness is similar to wishing your problems away. Willingness is accepting what is and actively participating in the process of change.
Wow.
So she talked about, like with someone who has depression, she says, would we encourage a person with depression to achieve better mental health by dwelling on how low his mood is? Or would we encourage him to accept his mood, not in the spirit of despairing of ever improving, but of creatively and enthusiastically seeking original solutions? That concept is just so good, because I think sometimes we often try to shame ourselves into doing better,
Yeah.
whatever it might be,
Right.
whether it's eating or whatever, and it's like, does that ever really work?
Mm-mm.
No.
Apparently not.
No.
I've tried it a few times. Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then she talks about breathing. And this oxygen business is very important. And the concept, like taking a pause and like breathing in life, because Jesus gives us life. Like, it's just so like centering. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, am I turning my focus on what's in this moment? Like, it brings you back to the moment in a different way than anything else in my experience.
Yeah.
And it's always a thing you can do while you're living,
Yes.
like this is a tool that's with me always. I just need to remember to access it. Like,
Yeah.
what if I took 5 deep breaths before I opened a cupboard door? Like, then you're pausing long enough to sort of like, hey girl, what you doing? Do you need to talk to Jesus right now?
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Oh,
That's good. And it makes me think of the Being Known podcast, when they talk about what is the mind, and
yeah.
his definition is something like it's an embodied process or something like that. And that this made me think of that same thing where she was, talking about how our bodies, like, what we do with our posture and our facial muscles,
Yeah.
and like our hands and all of the parts of our body, like when we can cognitively change what our body is doing, it changes the way we're thinking. And that was one of her exercises, I think, in this chapter, was to think about a situation that you're not looking forward to, and like, or something like that, and like clench your hands and like furrow your brow or something, and notice how you think about the situation. And then to do the opposite, where you're like relaxing your shoulders and relaxing your your mouth and your face, and then notice how your thoughts become about that situation. And I thought that was so profound, because it's like our brain really does kind of follow our body, and our body follows our brain. Like, it's so intertwined. And the same thing we've been learning about in our restoration life group. It's like there's nothing that happens in your brain that doesn't also happen in your body. There's nothing that happens in your body that's not also happening in your brain. It's just so intertwined.
That was the practicing radical acceptance.
Yes.
Like, it's like, oh, am I accepting this moment? Like, and I feel like it's like, because then, like, Stefan, he's been so kind. I don't remember where he heard it from, but he was like, he said, don't knock my prize if I ever say anything negative about myself. And then how much more does Jesus say that about us? Like, he died for us. Like, what? Okay, that's a reason worth living for. Like, and then I was trying to pick a verse, and I'm just like, I have all of the verses, all of the who I am in Christ verses, and Rebecca Lyons shared some in her books. I mean, they're all in the Bible.
Yeah.
But in a nice, concise little list that's easy to find is what I was thinking of. And then I have the Freedom in Christ list, and there's like 10 verses of I am accepted, and then I'm secure, another 10, and another 10 of I'm significant. I'm just guessing there's 10. But it's just, that's impacted my life since junior high, of just like, okay, what does God say about me?
Yeah.
And can I connect that now with my feelings? Because another thing she mentions in the book, feelings aren't going away. Like, they're always coming, kind of like clutter in our house. There's always a turnover and a managing, and it's not like you get to arrive and then you're done. Like, so maybe if I accepted that, then I would feel a little less anxious.
Yeah. I think
about my life.
Yeah, that you're feeling. Yeah, and that was one thing my counselor and I talked about, is like, imagining that you're like sitting in a train station and watching the trains come and go, and the same way we can with our thoughts and our emotions, and say, oh, that's a thought.
Yeah.
That's an emotion. It's coming in and it's going to go, and there will be another one, and that we don't have to jump on the train, or we don't have to, be stuck with the feeling that this is always
we
going
don't have
be
to
here.
run in front of it.
No, we can just observe it,
or sideways. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. And that is freeing. I've been trying to practice that the last few days, like when I feel some element of distress, to say, I'm feeling this way right now.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. Instead of like, oh.
Well, and I don't remember if I said it on the podcast or if I just was saying to my small group of printing the list of emotions and sticking them inside the cupboard door.
Yeah.
So they've been printed. They haven't got posted up there yet. But I did walk through a situation with myself, like just like going through that, like seeing like, what did you feel in that situation? And it was amazing how many different feelings were happening in that one thing if I just like took the time to give myself the vocabulary.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then you can like thinking again back to some of my counseling sessions, like, is this rational or irrational? Like,
yeah.
Where's the boundary, like, of what's true, what's not true about this? Or at least not that the emotions aren't true or the feelings, but just like the response I have to have or get to have after I'm acknowledging these feelings. Like, okay, does that mean I'm still a child of God? I am bring salt and light to the earth. It's a flavor and a brightness that nobody else can, like it's like, okay, wait, that's still true. Even if I sent the text message to the wrong person because I wasn't going slow enough, right? Like, it's like, what?
Well,
and that's just a text message.
That reminds me of like bringing every thought captive. And I read once that it's like we bring it captive to the power of the cross. So we say, like, no, I know that Christ has already died for me and paid the price.
Yeah.
And so these thoughts come captive to the power that he displayed, that he possesses. It's not like we're trying to capture it, but we're saying, because of Jesus, I know this thought isn't true or isn't, helpful or whatever.
Yeah.
And this whole acceptance thing just kind of reminded me of the prodigal son. Like when the father goes out and runs to the son that had been away and throws a party for him. But then he also approaches the older son and says, you seem far away too, like in your emotions, like come join the party. And we don't ever really find out what happened, but I think he invites us to that too. So we are praying for all of our listeners that they can accept their feelings and know that Jesus accepts them and that he offers us the world.
He gives us life. Like, wow. So that gives me confidence to muddle through this.
Yes.
And next chapter is going to be about mindfulness. Is that what it said?
Yep.
Mindful moments, friends.
Talk to everybody then.
Thank you.
Bye.